Okay, everyone, can you hear me? Nice. Love to be back at Big Data London 2024. I've been here several years in a row, and it's one of my favorite conferences within data globally. And this session will be about how Vault, the leading real-time payments company, is leveraging Validio for enabling the real-time payments. And I can give you a quick background into how Validio got started to set the scene. Prior to starting Validio in 2019, I spent almost a decade in the data industry helping large enterprises become more data and AI driven. And I worked with a bit more than 30 large enterprises over the years across various industries. And one thing that I noticed was the more data mature companies became, the less they tended to trust their data. And that went a bit against my intuition. I mean, you would think the more data mature a company becomes, the more they can trust their data because their data practices improves, and so should their data quality. But that wasn't the case. All of the companies, more or less, stumbled into the same challenge of lack of trust in data. And over time, I realized that this is very closely related to how data is being used when you become more and more data mature. Because when you are on the early stages of your data journey, usually you use data to augment your kind of gut feeling in decision making, right? But you still focus a lot on your human judgment. And when you become more and more data mature, what you want to do is to automate decision making based on data. So you'll rely much more heavily on the data. And you start to make automated decision making based on data, and you even build data products and offer data as a product. And therefore, data quality becomes much more critical. And that's what we mean with shit in, disaster out. When you start to automate decision making based on data, it magnifies all of the bad things that comes into the data, right? So it becomes more and more critical that you have it right from the get-go. And I ended up building a bit more than 20 in-house data quality systems for these different companies, and realized that this is not sustainable, that companies build their own data quality systems, because you can never spend too much time to make it really good, right? So I started Validio in 2019. And what we do is we're automating data quality and observability and metrics monitoring to make sure that you are the first one to know if your data pipelines are broken. You're the first one to know if the data within those pipelines are not meeting your expectations. And you're the first one to know if metrics that you care about on the business side is not as it should be. And I'm happy to welcome up Peter on stage. He's the VP of Data Infrastructure and Analytics at the leading payment company Vault to talk more about how you're leveraging Validio for these purposes at Vault. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me? Okay, cool. So thanks, Patrik, for the introduction, and great to be here today. I am Peter, and I work for Vault. Vault is building the world's first global real-time payment network by connecting to multiple different payment providers. We're building one single API that enables our customers to connect to multiple different banks. Since the founding in 2019, we've been plugged into 31 different markets, connecting to 2,500 plus banks, and also connecting to more than 600 million bank accounts covered. One of the key things we do is to enable our merchants to have the best performance when it comes to open banking payment. To really make this happen, we're using the metric monitoring to orchestrate millions of payments in real time. Looking at our current structure, when it comes to payment, also when it comes to, in general, when it comes to making the orchestration possible, we have to monitor different kinds of a suite of payment success and also payment failure metrics, enable for us to really understand how the payment status are going, and also be able to reroute and also to orchestrate the traffic. That would include something like initiation rate, conversion rate, payment success metrics, and also payment failure metrics like bank error rate or bank abandonment rate, for us to be able to really redirect those traffic at real time. Since Vault is connected to multiple different payment providers, when we see an issue happening in real time, we're able to, one, reroute the traffic to the payment service provider that is having a better performance, so we can actually optimize the conversion rate. 2, we can also in real time display messages at the checkout, notifying our end consumers, hey, this bank is temporarily down for the moment, maybe you can choose a different bank. Or if we notify issues with, for example, regards to the amount of payment, of payment in transaction, we can also tell our end consumers, if you want to transact more than €1,000, it's probably better for you to connect your bank to raise your daily limit so your payment can go through. 3, in the worst case scenario, we can also temporarily disable one bank, redirecting those traffic to other payment methods. So we still keep our customer happy and our end consumers able to go through their purchase in real time. That said, oftentimes, if we know anything about life, that is, it knows when to hit us in the worst possible time. So when the real shit happens, it often happens on a Friday night or Saturday morning or Sunday afternoon. When it happens, it leaves our merchants with interrupted payments and lost transactions. It also leaves our merchant success team really in the defense mode, scrambling their resource and energy to cope and merely coping with firefighting, not able to do anything on that. So the challenge is essentially we want to ensure a reliant real-time payment service by quickly identifying and responding to anomalies in our key metrics. And we want to do this consistently, repeatedly, and scalably. With the modern tech stack and also powerful BI tool, it's often not that difficult to identify anomalies in the trend. Oftentimes, our analysts can come in, look at the dashboard, and say, hey, there's something wrong with the payment initiation service. Can we do something about it? But it's really hard to do this 24/7. So, to do this 24/7. And with Validio-empowered monitoring and alerting framework, we're able to do this more scalably and consistently and be able to really identify the anomalies we're seeing in data, identify the potential root cause, and eventually drive actions and the resolutions out to our end consumers and customers and solving those problems real fast. To make this happen, let's look at our current data structure. We are plugging in Validio directly into our real-time data infrastructure. Currently, we're using deviations to connect to our main Postgres database, reading changes into Kafka topics, which is then picked up by our Kafka connector from Snowflake into our raw database. With the transformation stored in dbt, it's then eventually being transferred into the final analytic tables. With Validio's easy connection into Snowflake, we're able to plug Validio in on top of full stack, going from all the way from the beginning of the raw data all the way to the end analytic tables. Even with the modern resilient data stack, things happen. Things can also break. Should it be something within our data pipeline, certain Kubernetes cluster being naughty, or some data transformation being released in production without much testing? It can also be happening with upstream services that we're not in control with. In our case, it could be the banks. They're having some API issues on their end. It could also be our payment service provider having some degraded service on their end that we cannot control, but we need to stay on top of that. So let me walk you through a real-time example of how we're able to identify these issues and able to resolve them really fast and drive actions. So imagine on a Friday night, you've gone through the week with really hard working, and then you go home, you chill on your sofa, grab some water, watch TV, and all of a sudden you get a Slack notification that says 124% spike in error at bank rate. Here on the top right, you can actually take a glance of the alert. We're seeing this is categorized as a very high severity alert because we're seeing a high deviation from the historical standard. Getting the alert, our merchant success team can quickly click on a Slack message and then get redirected to the detail page as shown here for the alert. The long tail of the green is merely for demonstration purpose to really show what the data looks like after the resolution has been implemented. But let's for now imagine we're only seeing the elevated reds. So by looking at this alert chart, the first thing we're noticing is not a false positive. This is a very severe elevated rate when it comes to banking. When it comes to error, the bank rate, there's something that we need to take care of. And also by using the built-in segmentation tool, we're able to identify and segment this issue at the very few banks. So it's not happening across board to every single bank we're having, but only to the 1 or 2 banks that is connected to a certain service provider. By further digging into the segmentation, we also are witnessing similar elevated error bank rate for traffic going through one of our service providers. So our merchant success team can then come up with hypothesis that the issue is probably caused by service degradation from one of our service payment providers, that we need to look into that. So what our what our merchant success team then is calling our developer on duty, quickly verify that hypothesis. So now our merchant success team has been alerted on Slack, and then we're calling our dev on duty to really verify that our hypothesis of the root cause is true. The dev on duty is able to really help us verify, yeah, we're seeing actual API error rate from this service provider, so we need to do something about it. So after we verify the root cause, the really most important thing is really to drive to the action and solve those problems. That said, we are solving this problem in twofold. One, on the technical side, since we are connected to the global providers when it comes to services, we're able to reroute our traffic to the other payment provider that is not experiencing the same issue. By doing this, we're able to maintain our merchants to be happy, the end consumer to be happy, and not having interrupted payments. And at the same time, we're not stopping from there. On the other side, our merchant success team is engaging with our account management team, who then engage with the merchant that is most affected by such issue, proactively addressing this issue with the merchant, with the resolution that we already put in place. So we're kind of solving a problem for our merchants even before that problem becomes a problem. By doing this, we're restoring our customer satisfaction rate, making the merchants happy, making the end consumers happy, while also keeping a very high operational efficiency, reducing the lost revenue through failed transactions. So just to sum up and recap, by having Validio-powered monitoring and alerting system at Vault, we're able to improve our operational efficiency and customer satisfaction. By having faster time to detection and also resolution, time is money. For every single minute that we're not doing anything to the payments, we're having interrupted payments, hence we're having lost revenue in that case. At the same time, we're also having not happy customers when it comes to consumers and merchants because the payment's not going through. Second, we're also making the alerts actionable. Getting the alerts is one thing, but really driving to the root cause and driving that resolution out is the most important thing that we're carrying. So we are sending all these alerts to our stakeholders, making sure the merchant success and also account management are getting the targeted alerts, and also we can drive those messages all the way to our merchants as well. And we're doing this all by scale and also automation to make it easy, repeatable, and with high accuracy and low false positive rate. And all in all, the goal is to really increase our customer satisfaction for both our merchants and end consumers while maintaining a high operational efficiency, so to reduce the lost revenue when it comes to interrupted payment and transactions. By doing so, we're able to contribute to the business success by having data, monitoring, as well as alerting to make the whole business more successful. And with that, thank you for coming to the presentation today.